Hi, it's Kirby Summers. Today is October 9th. It's Wednesday. And I have like a kind of like several things I want to share with you. First of all, again, many thanks to those of you who are new to my channel and an applause. Here it is. Can you hear it? For those of you who take the time to subscribe and like the podcast, because on this platform, as with any other, it helps. So I took an hour of my time yesterday to listen to someone whose podcast I have been on, who I won't name, interviewing an attorney, who again I won't name, and they were discussing the recent developments in the Sean Combs case. And every now and then, the Epstein case would come up. However, I became somewhat frustrated while I listened not to the podcaster, but to the guest, who did mention, let's say, Prince Andrew, did mention Bill Clinton, but who said something, and I'm paraphrasing, basically stating that, well, they have people who look after them. Why didn't these people warn them to stay away from the situation? Now, this is a man in his late 60s who has practiced law, who apparently has a big following. I didn't go to look at his channel, but apparently he has a big following. And somehow it never occurred to him, and I'm beginning to think to almost no one, that this is endemic, as I have said a gazillion times, to a certain class of people, right? And that this is part and parcel of their world, so that they're not necessarily blackmail targets. They're just part of this unusual world that some people are beginning to get a better look at in the wake of what is happening with Sean Combs, okay? So that if Clinton became a very close friend of Epstein's, if Andrew became a close friend of Epstein's, why do people not begin to even form the possibility that it's just their normal routine? On my Substack, I had written several years ago about similar things and a similar person in Clinton's life and school-aged children. It's on my Substack. For those of you who have joined, thank you for doing that. I have also, continued to try to expand the information that I've been able to compile, along with my firsthand observation, having been an slave to one of these billionaires, right? So most of you who are following me are aware that I've been working on this case 24/7 since Epstein was arrested in July 6, 2019, which is a date that even people who claim to be experts can't remember. Well, I remember it because it changed the trajectory of my life. I knew that I would find the answers I needed for myself. I just did not realize at the time that these were answers that many people needed across the world in different countries. So I have been wrapping up Chasing Chandler, which is the second edition of my book on the ancestors of Rachel Chandler, as I have mentioned on this platform before. And what's interesting is I did come across, clearly I'm trying to fit in as much information because I sort of go back in time, go into the future. I include people and government entities that are familiar to you and show you how they are interwoven in a much bigger picture that no one is describing accurately. If I'm going to leave a link to where you can read a preview of the book, an excerpt, and B, order it if you want. One of the pictures that I am including in the book is one that's been around for a long time, showing Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan at Bohemian Grove in 1967. Perhaps you too are familiar with this photograph. But since I have been working, and I wrote this book initially, 2-3 years ago, and now I'm adding additional information because she was photographed, meaning Rachel, with Sean Combs, and also with Eminem and other people connected to Epstein, connected to NXIVM, connected to many things. But anyway, I'm aware of who her ancestors are. And so as I was glancing through this photograph of Nixon and Reagan at Bohemian Grove, and I'm going to use that as my cover photo for this podcast, I noticed her great-grandfather sitting at the far left of the photo. I mean, that family has been going to Bohemian Grove since the late 1800s. I mean, it's all in the book. What can I say? And so I just put it up on Twitter. I guess I should call it X, because no one has ever mentioned Norman Chandler being in that photograph with Ronald Reagan seated next to him. And then on the other side is Richard Nixon. Now, the LA Times is responsible for both of them becoming presidents. Think about that as you begin to absorb what is happening in the, not just Hollywood, but in the music industry. The other thing I did, and I again uploaded it to my Substack, is write about the attorney. I'm going to leave the name unsaid on this platform, who has helped to cover up Harvey Weinstein's, I'm going to try to phrase this in a way that, I'm going to just stop and almost restart a little bit. There are allegations that are coming out now about young actors at the time, Black young actors, friends of Sean Combs, who would go for a role, Harvey Weinstein, and be requested to do certain things. So I write about that, but as I often do, that's already part 2. I have a series on that particular attorney. And so that dropped earlier today. Yes, I am busy. I am always busy because the goal is to spread awareness. And the only way we can do this is by sharing information. That said, I'd love to hear what you have to say. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe and give this a like. Thank you, guys. Bye.